Good morning, everyone. My name is Syed. Today I am here to talk to you about a very important yet controversial topic, the depiction of Palestinian people in the Israel and Palestine conflict. If you have recently been on any kind of social media, you have most likely seen or at least heard something about what's happening in Palestine. But recently in Palestine, Gaza has been under siege and is in a humanitarian crisis and has experienced repeated bombing from the Israeli military. These attacks have prompted a reaction from the ICC to put out arrest warrants for the President of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, for a flurry of alleged war crimes. These events have also led to mass protests all around the world to stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine. If you have listened to everything I've just said and are completely lost, that's okay. That's what I'm here for, to teach you about what's happening in Palestine. With this presentation, I hope to teach you the struggle of Palestinian people and how it is being represented, and why the struggle is undermined compared to the struggle of other people, and how we can change and stop it from happening in the future. The Israel-Palestine conflict has been going on for just around 70 years, and Western media has played a big role in how the conflict is perceived. It has been more evident than ever, though, what side the media is on. There have been multiple studies conducted showing that Western media has actively downplayed the struggle of Palestinian civilians, while also downplaying the horrific actions of Israel causing all this pain and destruction. An example of this would be the Piers Morgan show, where he brought on Bassem Youssef. During the Piers Morgan show, he very frequently interrupts Bassem Youssef anytime he tries to give Palestinian people a voice and let people see their side. Piers Morgan's repeated interruptions led to Bassem Youssef never being able to fully get his point across. And on the off chance Bassem Youssef did get his point across, Piers Morgan would go straight to whataboutism, which means he would bring up the actions of Hamas to downplay the struggle of innocent Palestinian civilians and to justify the actions of Israel and its army. This is just one example of and there are countless similar cases to this. Another example would be the New York Times, or really any Western media outlet articles on the subject of Israel and Palestine. One of the issues of how this is being reported is the language these media outlets have used in their headlines. In headlines where Israel attacks Palestine, they use language like defense or security options or lives ended to downplay the severity of Israel's actions. While on the other hand, if Palestine does anything, it is immediately labeled as attack or terrorism. This is just one example. Another one would be the narrative farming these media outlets have done, where they emphasize the struggle of Israel, giving detailed accounts of the Israeli lives affected, while the Palestinian struggle gets nowhere near the same amount of attention. They also actively downplay the Palestinian struggle, only presenting it in a statistical manner, basically saying that we should only see these people dying as a number. Now let's see what happens when we compare this to a situation that's eerily similar. If you couldn't guess already, I'm going to compare this to the South African apartheid. This is incredibly similar to what was happening during the start of the South African apartheid, where the Western media was very slow to condemn the actions of South Africa for a plethora of reasons. Instead of condemning, they decided to focus more on the fact that the anti-apartheid party was communist, to show that it was a bad idea to listen to them, and also tried to frame this more as a war/conflict than a violation of human rights. Now, after listening to me teach you all this, you must be asking, why is all this happening? That's a very complex question with multiple answers. There are many reasons why the Western media are trying to downplay the Palestinian struggle, and why they have done the same in the past. Some of the more prominent reasons would be global alliances, politics, Islamophobia, and historical context. Since the West has very heavy ties to Israel, it is not a complete shock that they are trying to downplay the severity of their actions, to take a lesser blow from the public. Also, since this is a conflict that is happening in the Middle East, there's bound to be some Islamophobic motives behind some of these headlines. Now, after learning all this, you must be wondering if there is any ways to help prevent something like this happening in the future. And boy, are you in luck. There are some ways to prevent this kind of bias from being prominent in the future. You can do that by making sure both sides are heard, both sides of the story are heard. In this case, that would be making sure the innocent people of Palestine are heard. We can also make sure this never happens by promoting ethical journalism, which means journalists should strive to hear both sides of the story and report fairly without any bias. In conclusion, I know this topic is very controversial, and even though some people might not agree with me that Palestinians are the victim in this situation, I think it's crucial to remind the citizens of Palestine that they are not alone, and in fact, we do hear their voices, and not to lose hope. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.